for me, the vision of resilience was from childhood. I saw it in my mom. I think she's the most resilient woman I've ever met. One thing in specific was root cause analysis, who made me write a letter to my sister. And I think that was the most painful experience of actually writing a letter to her saying goodbye. Like, I didn't realize so many years later that it was still so painful. Resilience is an innate skill that you only develop when you go through a setback. Your setback is a strength to move forward.
So hi there, you all amazing souls. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Monday Talks. Today, we have an inspiring guest with us, Sushma D'Silva, a certified resilience and purpose coach, mental health advocate, and a speaker. Sushma is on a mission to help individuals overcome setbacks and build their resilience. She's here to share with us an incredible journey of her own, of resilience, personal growth, and she also helps others navigate life's challenges. So I am Daniel Tokad, your host today, and we have a true luminary among us, Sushma. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Daniel. It's lovely to be here.
Okay, before we get to dive into this treasure trove of wisdom, here's a little something from the heart. You know, every subscription, every like, every share means the world to us. It's not just numbers, it's all about incredible community we're building together. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this with your friends. More than just a support, it's a journey. We're taking it together to spread these great minds with even their greater stories. All right, let's get started by saying, who is Sushma?
Oh, that's an interesting question, right?
How do you see her?
She's someone that doesn't give up. She doesn't take no for an answer.
Beautiful.
She perseveres, and she knows when to stop. She's learned that in life, when to press pause. And currently, she's living a life that she had prayed for. So,
Beautiful.
in a nutshell.
Okay. Sushma, your journey is truly remarkable, really, when we had this talk of introduction. So can you take us like in this journey and share how you found strength to overcome your personal setbacks? We know that you have faced significant challenges recently, including the loss of a loved one. And we would like to know, how did you navigate through this difficult time?
Growing up, my father was in the Gulf, was in Saudi. So me and my sister were brought up by my mom single-handedly. I mean, she was working and taking care of us at the same time. I think for me, the vision of resilience was from childhood. I saw it in my mom. I think she's the most resilient woman I've ever met. And then seeing my sister. But, being the youngest one, I never really took on any responsibilities. I was literally a shadow to my sister because I know that, she had everything under control. So, life was great. I didn't really have any significant events that happened in childhood. The usual, like everybody has some sort of childhood trauma, but it's not something that really set me back. But I remember my first real life experience was when I was engaged to someone I really cared about. And when that didn't work out, I didn't really have the support. Of course, my parents were there, my sister was there, but we didn't really have the knowledge of therapy and coaching and any other modalities to navigate something like this. I think I went through a lot of shame and in a way depression for about 5 years till I actually found therapy. I was 30 at that time, so obviously this was quite a shocking event for me, although it was something that was discussed between me and my ex. But still, it's you make a decision of spending the rest of your life with someone, and then when that doesn't work out, you just can't move on. You have to process what's happened before you move forward. But that's not the knowledge we had. And then 5 years later, when I found therapy, it was easy to understand, connect the dots and make sense. But of course, therapy doesn't happen in the first instance. It took me a long time to actually, become aware of a lot of things, understand, what my, where I needed to grow, understand where my boundaries are, understanding myself better, and not having this shame and sense of loss, so to speak, because everything happens for a reason. So that happened, and then we navigated through the loss of my sister, who, for me, she was my mother growing up. I was literally her shadow. Like anybody you speak to from childhood who's seen us, I was literally following her everywhere. And so that's why I didn't have a sense of life till she passed away, and I realized I was absolutely alone. That was quite a shocking one. Again, understanding, because being the only child, the responsibility of taking care of everyone else comes forward. And then you forget to grieve yourself. So I never grieved till years later. And that took a toll on me. I couldn't make sense. In fact, I went through a stage of, like, I didn't feel her physical loss. And that felt really strange. Because somewhere down the line, I had closed off to feeling any sort of pain. So my way of dealing with it was like a complete, ignorance. But then I found, different other modalities. And one thing in specific was root cause analysis, who made me write a letter to my sister. And I think that was the most painful experience, of actually writing a letter to her saying goodbye. Like, I didn't realize so many years later that it was still so painful. But I've navigated, with all that support, and I felt it was so much better than navigating that alone when it actually happened. And then, of course, being diagnosed with an illness, that was another experience that I had to, understand and process. But one thing I have realized through life is you can't go through life fearing something. So fear has never been the forefront for me through anything. It's just trying to understand and become more aware of myself, processing my own feelings, because that's when I understood how emotional health is so important to a physical well-being. We take care of our physical health, we take care of nutrition, we do meditation, but we don't realize that the main key is your emotional health. If your emotional health is wavering, it affects everything. You can eat the best of the meals, you can exercise, be very fit, but if your emotional health is suffering, it affects all of that. Nothing will work on you if your emotional health is not at par. But yeah,
I'm so sorry for this for this loss, and really, this is my deepest condolences for you. And this is really a place where no one wished to be. But you also mentioned burnout that took place in
Yes.
your life and drained your energy.
Oh,
Can you tell us more about the turning point that helped you stand up again?
yes. So back in 21, I was working at a firm where I enjoyed my job, but it became a personal agenda for me to prove myself, to seek external validation for something I already knew I was doing well. But in the journey of that, I was taking on much more, and I wasn't really taking care of my health. I was packing in a lot just because I wanted, to prove myself. But it reached a point where I wasn't myself again. I was very irritable. I couldn't really format sentences. My brain fog was so high. I had to actually sit down with a friend and, talk things through and, plan of what I was going to do next, but in a way that I wanted to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that the only way I could take a break was just quit, because I wasn't enjoying the job anymore and it was taking such a toll on my health. So I had gone to a full-fledged burnout. And I would not recommend that to anyone. When you see the first signs, press pause. It's so important. It's like running on vehicle with no fuel.
Mm.
Your motor just runs out. That's it.
You mentioned
And there's no
also,
way of.
yeah, it's like you've been through it all. I mean, fear, burnout, loss, everything. So fear and pain are really powerful emotion that can hold us, everyone can hold it back, can hold us back.
Yes.
You have highlighted the importance of not succumbing to fear and seeking help through coaching. Could we elaborate on how coaching can play a role in building resilience?
Yes. The main thing to understand is you can only build resilience is when you go through it. You can't ignore the fact of the setback and try and build resilience by reading and by learning about it. Resilience is an innate skill that you only develop when you go through a setback, because that then reflects of how strong you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've been through a setback, you know that you've just pushed your limit, and you've done it in a way that is more like a self-development. It's not a skill that can be learned. How coaching helps you is, first of all, coaching doesn't advise, and I love that. I love the fact that coaching doesn't advise anyone, because we all have our own way of life. We process things differently. We live life differently. But how coaching can help you is it can be a guidance in your journey through that setback. Because navigating it, you could navigate it by yourself, but it'll take you longer. And you might not be able to figure out the right way. But when you talk it out to a coach, when you listen to different perspectives, when you understand what is actually holding you back, and truly understand the power of resilience, it helps you navigate through life better and quicker. You come out more stronger because you have a partner with you. We're
Yeah.
an equal partnership. We're an equal
You mean
partnership, and that's the beauty of coaching.
you mean the coach can be a partner?
Yes, because we treat clients as a whole. It doesn't mean the coach is an expert in coaching, is not an expert in life, in someone else's life. You are an expert of your own life, but somewhere down the line, because you faced through setbacks, you've kind of taken a hit to your confidence, to how you see life ahead. You feel like it's a step back. But with with the right guidance, you know that it's a strength. Your setback is a strength to move forward. And that's how coaching can help you, because it's an equal partnership.
Okay. So within this darkness of everything negative you've been through, with the pain you've been through, with drained energy, with the loss, with you being alone in a country that is really very active, how did you survive to find your own smile, which was really brilliant thing about you? Like, I watched you smiling and laughing and in networking calls, and you keep smiling. What was this secret ingredient that you added to your own life that was a turning point and to stand up and give this advice to others?
What I've learned, Daniel, and I think I hope the audience takes it in stride, is you can't go through life just thinking positive. All your emotions are equally important, because your emotions are there to tell you something. Every emotion plays a pivotal role. And if you process your emotions in the right way, you will be able to thrive. I think what people need to focus on is thriving in life, rather than just thinking positive and thinking that that's the brilliant solution to everything. It doesn't work that way. If thinking positive was a solution, we wouldn't have wars, we wouldn't have people dying, we wouldn't have a lot of bad things, you know. So thinking positive, having a positive mindset, cultivating that, yes, is a journey. But also understanding that all your other emotions are equally important, and that they are there to tell you something. You know, anger tells you where your boundaries have been crossed. Sadness tells you what you want actually, you know. So if you delve deeper, if you go below the surface of the surface level emotion, you will understand what the actual need is.
Wow.
So people ignore that. People think anger is bad, sadness is bad, despair is bad, but it's how you respond to those emotions is key.
Receiving.
But each and every emotion, and I say that with conviction, is very important. Very important. You can't go through life just thinking positive. That never works, because what you will do is only carry more baggage of the events that you've not processed.
Wow. Well, it's really clear and very obvious that when you hear an advice from someone who's been through it all, is really different than someone that's been educated as to be a coach. You've been through it all and you are educated coach. So let's go back to your own story, which is a proof that personal experience can be transformational. As you continue to help others through coaching, what are your aspirations for the future? And how do you see your journey evolving from this step, from this point?
I hope to have an effect on most people's lives of helping them navigate through situations. For me, that currently is my purpose. The many voices, the many people that I could speak to and guide and help. For me, I think that is my work done here. And I don't take it lightly. For me, each client is very different, and I get personally invested in that, because I am more invested in you achieving your goal as you are. But I want to do it in a way that not just helps you in this goal, but helps you in the future. You know, where you can navigate through things yourself when you understand the mentalities of it. So yeah, that the most people that I could reach out and guide, I think my work here is done. I always say
Amazing.
this, Daniel, that your experiences are your superpower. If people understood that, they'd be able to navigate whatever they're going through in a different perspective. Never negate what happens to you, because that is your superpower. Because when you start talking about it, of how you've navigated through a certain situation, it allows for someone else to show up, because they're like, if you've been through that and you've been able to move forward, I can do that too. So never take lightly what happens in life for you, because that is your true superpower.
Let's story time, okay? A story time. It's like, can you share a client story, not to mention the name, of course, but how your coaching has done has added this transformation to their life, to their journey?
When you ask about this, I have two clients in specific. So I will speak about both of them, because they're a little bit different, but seeing how they've transformed has been quite an enlightening journey. So this first client came to me feeling very low in life, and I've known her personally. She's had an independent job. She was earning well. She had high profile job, and then she got married, and she moved countries, and she was quite low when we started speaking. And yes, because she showed signs of depression, I did direct her to see a therapist, whilst also guiding her simultaneously. But she was lacking self-confidence. Like, it was strange to see that, because I know the person who was there before. I've known her to be someone who's been confident, who's known what to do in life and how to navigate through things. But here was someone who was lacking self-confidence, who was lacking self-belief, who thought she couldn't do certain things. And it took us some time to move forward a bit. But now although she is still navigating through her mental health, she has secured herself a job. She sounds more confident, and she's taken what she's learned in the sessions to figure out things in the future. Some powerful questions she's learned to ask herself. And she's been quite grateful for the journey we've had so far, because she felt quite alone, and she wanted to be heard. She wanted to be heard and understood. And that's what I gave her. But I also challenged her, because I know I can see the person she could be. So I kept challenging her, to cross her own boundaries. So I'm quite happy with where she is at the moment, and there is scope for far more growth. But I feel from where she was to where she is has been like a 180 difference. And then you have another client who, she's self-made, very smart, but somewhere down the lines, due to personal reasons and personal events that happened to her, she lost the belief in herself. Like, she questioned her own decisions, and she was making life decisions based on what people were telling her to do. And fast forward in a couple of sessions, this woman now has found her voice. She's more assertive in her decisions and in what she wants to do in life. She's gained more clarity. She's learned to stand up for herself. And there is a lot more work to do, but the change I've seen so far, and she feels it herself, where she couldn't speak up for herself, and now she feels more stronger for it. So
You mentioned two stories, very interesting two stories, and both of them started by losing self-confidence.
yeah,
What can be the reasons so we all get aware of that we are on our way to lose that? I mean, what happened in their lives or what could happen in our life to us to start losing our self-confidence?
we can go through situations where suddenly we stop to listen to ourselves, where we
Hmm.
start listening to the
Others.
outside voice. We start listening to others, and we start making decisions on what they say we should be doing. So, Daniel,
Hmm.
another thing I tell my clients that there is no thing as should, could, would.
Hmm.
There is no right and wrong. There are choices, and you hold accountable for your choices. So, no one can tell you how to live your life. They can offer you perspectives, but the final decision should always be yours. But what happens is when you've been through a setback or you've been through a difficult situation, you lose you lose faith in yourself.
Hmm.
You
Okay.
lose faith in that inner voice.
How
Suddenly you feel like
what symptoms should I notice that hey, stop there and gain confidence again?
when you see yourself doing things based on what other people are telling you to do,
Hmm.
that should be a red flag to stop. Because if you make decisions based on what other people tell you, then you should be willing to face the consequences of that.
Hmm.
Because no one knows you better than yourself.
Yeah, indeed.
It's okay to take opinions, it's okay to take perspectives, but you need to take those both and sit back and figure out what it is you take the good from what you hear, but the final decision should always be yours because you will bear the consequences of your choices. So if you make choices based on what other people have told you, then be willing to face the consequences for that. You can't say, but you told me to do this. I didn't hold a gun to your head.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
old enough, you're old enough to make that decision. So when someone tells you you should be doing something, that's another red flag because there's
Hmm.
nothing as you should be doing something.
Hmm.
You have
Okay, then.
choices.
Yeah. Life is a choice, all right?
Yes.
So, okay, time is flying by, but I would love to, before we wrap up, Sushma, could you share a nugget of wisdom with our audience, a piece of an advice or an information that they can carry with them on their own path to resilience?
Don't be afraid to go through setbacks because with the right guidance and the right support, you will be able to navigate through that. There's no two ways about it. But you will build your strength going through that. And we focus so much on the longevity of life, right? I say it's not the longevity of life, but how well you live your life that determines your time on earth. So make each moment and each day count, not just for yourself, but make sure that you also make a difference in someone else's life. So every day, before you hit the bed, you should be able to ask yourself this question: how did this day serve me? And how was I able to serve another person? Could be anything. You know, if you've made someone smile, that's changed something for the other person. But it's not about being self-centered. You should also think about the difference you're making in someone else's life. So every day, you should be able to do something for yourself and for another person. That will determine your time on earth, not that you've lived 100 years. It could be 100 quantity years, but not quality years. So make each moment count and be intentional. Be intentional about everything that you do.
Amazing insights. A lot of insights been there in this interview. Really, thank you so much, Sushma, for sharing your incredible journey and wisdom with us today. Your story is a beacon of hope and inspiration for all of us, reminding us that resilience can be found even in the face of life's greatest challenges, no matter what pain, loss, whatever. So, to all our viewers, remember to follow, like, subscribe on Monday Talks for more insightful conversation like this one. Until next time, stay empowered and take care. And thank you very much, Sushma.
Thank you, Daniel. This was such a nice conversation. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.